Wake up with a smile, and then in a while, come to lunch with the ladies. Lunch with the ladies. Lunch with the ladies. Lunch with the ladies.
In this episode, we meet the writers, directors, and producers of the movie Trinity's Triumph. Trinity's Triumph is a unique movie because it's written by a priest and inspired by his experiences. However, this movie in its essence is a compelling story for anyone. It's about three young men wanting to become priests, played by young Mazino, Joshua Wills, and Adriel Irizzary. They are mentored by a priest played by the award-winning actor Joe Morton. Do they succeed? We'll talk to Father Stephen Fichter, Michael J. Wickham, and Kathe Carson to find out how this movie came to be and what it hopes to accomplish.
Latin word for life. Vita, my friends.
Seminary's a big deal. I'm sure about this.
Monsignor said you needed to learn a lesson.
2 on 2, let's go, and loser washes dishes.
Yo! Hey, Grouchy, come here. Sit down, have some kung pao chicken.
Shall we take a peek? Even just 3 people can hold up the entire world. You are setting out on an extraordinary odyssey to answer the highest of all calls. How do you handle it when you've fallen in love with somebody?
I wouldn't.
I said when.
We're all just trying our best.
I'm not talking about this, I've decided.
I don't know if it's serious.
I'm telling the truth.
You've been pushing this anger down for years. You didn't cause anything. He abused his power and betrayed your trust.
And where was God when that was happening?
What are you gonna do to stop? I'll do whatever I damn well have to. Joe, come on. You're my best friend, you're my brother.
But you're free to leave a message. Don't think it, Tom. Feel it. None of us can fly unless we leap first. Even just 3 people can hold up the entire world.
Welcome to the Libby Show. It's a special show today because we are talking to people that I know personally that have done something extraordinary. We are talking to a very respected priest, Father Stephen Fichter, and his team. I met Father Stephen at the Ridgewood Guild International Film Festival in Ridgewood, New Jersey, where his film, Trinity's Triumph, was premiering. I was intrigued by the film and the fact that it was written by a priest, not a Hollywood screenwriter, so the themes and the dialogue are genuine. I'm excited to talk to him and his team today because the movie has been getting recognized by the press and receiving accolades by the viewers for its look behind the stained glass windows. We'll find out exactly what that means as we speak to Father Stephen, producer Kathe Carson, and director Michael J. Wickham on the show today. Messalina, will you introduce our guests?
Sure, Suzanne. Father Stephen Fichter originated the concept for Trinity's Triumph and co-authored the script with Kathe Carson and Michael Wickham. He is the author of 3 sociological books, a research associate for the Center of Applied Research in the Apostolate at Georgetown, and is taught at the Graduate School for Religion and Religious Education at Fordham and at the Immaculate Conception Seminary at Seton Hall. He did most of his priestly training in Europe, where he received master's degrees in philosophy and theology. He has a 3rd master's in social work from Fordham and a PhD in sociology from Rutgers. He is the pastor at St. Elizabeth of Hungary Church in Wyckoff and the Episcopal Vicar of Education for the Archdiocese of Newark. Kathe Carson has produced television and radio commercials and videos for major New York ad agencies and retailers, as well as freelance projects for her own clients for over 40 years. Trinity's Triumph is her first feature film. Currently, she is the Director of Communications for St. Elizabeth of Hungary Parish in Wyckoff, New Jersey. Kathe has a BA in Fine Arts, an MA in Television Production, and an MBA in Marketing. Michael J. Wickham is a writer, director, and producer whose passion for storytelling began with an Emmy Award-winning career in journalism. Born and raised in New Jersey, Michael attended college in upstate New York, where he worked as a news videographer and editor for 8 years before moving to Los Angeles in 2012. There, he has produced dozens of independent films, shorts, web series, and commercial videos. He has directed award-winning short films and written a number of screenplays. Trinity's Triumph is his featured directorial debut.
Thank you, Messalina, and welcome to everyone. Let's start the discussion. I'm going to start with Father Stephen. Tell me in a nutshell what this movie's about and who is in it.
Well, thanks so much, Suzanne, for having us on. It's really a delight to be with you. And Trinity's Triumph is really the story of 3 young men who feel called to the priesthood, who wind up taking very different paths. And all 3 of them are guided by this wonderful mentor, Monsignor Heck, who's played by Joe Morton, an Emmy Award-winning actor that I think everyone recognizes right away when you see him there. So Joe really has the lead role. And then we have 3 younger actors that play Tom, Joe, and Mike, the 3 young seminarians. The young Mazino of Beef fame recently plays Tom Kim. Josh Wills plays Father Joe, and Adriel Irizzary plays Miguel Martinez. So the 3 of them. And then there's 2 other supporting actors. We have Narci Regina, who plays Maddie, and we have Melissa Bologna, who plays Annie. And it's a wonderful crew. Those 6 of them were the main actors, a few other ones there, but it's really the story of the 3 young boys and their journey to trying to find out where they're meant to be in the world. And as Kathe Carson, my original co-writer with me on the script, said, it's really meant to be that look over the rectory wall, that look beyond the stained glass windows, and to really see priests and seminarians for who they are, normal human beings like everyone else on the face of the earth.
Now, I've seen this movie several times, and it's a movie that it's a story. So it's whether or not you're of the same religion, it's a story about these 3 people. It's coming of age things. It's the human, it's what humans go through. They have to make decisions and choices in their lives. Tell me now, I've heard this is 10 years in the making, and movies always take a long time to make, but when did it come to you, I want to make a movie and this is what I want to make it about?
Sure. Actually, it goes back even further. So the original idea came to me back in 1998 when I was living in Rome, and I just had this idea. I thought that, we went from the one extreme of these black and white movies of Bing Crosby and this priest being up on this pedestal of perfectionism, so to speak, and a wonderful character, but really not reflecting the reality of today, to the other extreme, sadly, after the eruption of the priestly sexual abuse crisis, where kind of priests were in the gutter. So we're trying to get there right in the middle, not the perfectionism, but not the vilification either of these individuals. So that was in 98 when I first wrote the script. The original script was entitled Daring to be Different. As I've shared on other platforms, I just on a whim, I said, I love Franco Zeffirelli. I thought he was one of the greatest, film persons ever, director, just an incredible person. And I was lucky enough through a friend of a friend to get to him. Then he read it, he really liked it. And he said to me, I think you're onto something here, but why didn't you make it the story of 3 young people rather than just 1? And then I came back to the United States. I was doing a lot of work. The whole scandal abuse crisis erupted. A lot of different things happened. Some of my friends left the priesthood to get married, and my vision of priesthood really changed a lot. And that's when I was fortunate to meet Kathe Carson, my co-writer. She was at the parish where I was stationed at the time. She had all this wonderful history of production of television, radio. And I said to her, I said, listen, this is what I wrote. This is what Zeffirelli told me. These are all the things that have happened in my life, in the life of the church. And with your talent, with your background, can you help me? And so Kathe jumped right on board, and I'll let her speak a little bit more about that. But we really started to work together, and she took what I had, she did a draft, and we spoke about it. Then she did another draft, and she was doing a lot of the heavy lifting for sure during that time, because I was also doing a lot of my own studies and other work. And that's when Kathe and I also met Mary Higgins Clark, who was a fellow parishioner of ours. And we shared with Mary the script because we didn't really want to waste our time if it wasn't good. And Mary, being the wonderful person she is, and really gave us a lot of honest feedback. And I know, Kathe, you can speak more to that. But that was the process of writing and rewriting. And I forget how tall Kathe is, but she's probably 5 foot something. But she says if you stacked up all of the scripts, all of the versions, they're actually taller than she is. And then from there, which I don't want to jump into Kathe's thing, but then eventually we were trying to get it into Hollywood. And through different people, we wound up connecting with this company called Tucci and Company. And they connected us with Michael, which we are so delighted about. He was just the perfect fit to be a director. And so Michael took the script as well, because he was looking at it before he agreed to be director. And he helped to do some rewriting and some other restructuring.
So, Kathe, you came on board. Tell me what your input was, and what did you bring to it? How did you bring like more dialogue? Were you trying to connect with your secular life and put that into there? Tell me what you did.
Well, I think the successful collaboration that Father Stephen and I kind of hit upon was that we would talk a lot. And Father Stephen would and I think the other thing in conjunction with that is that, Father Stephen being a personal friend is also really a gift, in the sense that often people don't have that kind of everyday kind of relationship, with the history is that the priest is a little bit separate from people, and that we said often when we were working that most of the time people know a priest from a baptism, Sunday mass, a wedding, a funeral, or they visit the sick or something like that, but you don't really have an opportunity to know them as an actual person. And so Father Stephen and I, have this wonderful 20-year friendship. And, and I also found it intriguing because my secular background is that when my first communion was when the priest was still facing the altar and was not facing the congregation. So there was even that further distance. And, I think this idea of being able to have the priest as part of the community, but even further than that, know the great element of humanity that is captured by everything that we were trying to tell in this story. So I learned a lot, from Father Stephen personally, because, he would describe situations, he would explain what the themes and the topics were that we were going to cover. And then I would kind of go away and imagine the setting, imagine what the conversation could be. I would, take a stab at it, write it out. And then Father Stephen and I would meet again, and he would look over and make some adjustments and say, well, mostly that's good, but a couple of things wouldn't happen quite that way, or things of that type. And I think for all intents and purposes, it really turned out to be a very successful method of working, and we really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, it worked well in the film. The dialogue just was real. I would imagine that this is the way that they actually talk to each other. It wasn't forced. So I think you did a great job. And Michael J. Wickham, who directed it, now you also were a contributor to the writing.
Yeah, that's actually initially how I was brought onto the project. I worked with the Tucci brothers, Damiano and Tiziano, on a number of films, mostly on the production side of things, and they wound up getting the script brought over to them, and they read it, and they're like, well, we're not Catholic. Wick is. Maybe he wants to give this a look over and have some input. So I read it, and I really liked right off the bat how it didn't pull any punches. It didn't shy away from the reality of what it's like to be a priest today. And my goal then was to just kind of work on taking these incredible characters and the story that Kathe and Father Stephen had created, and just punching it up to be more cinematic and just making it flow. There's a certain structure to it all that really works, and making sure that different storylines. A lot of times when you make a movie, you're dealing with one hero. This movie has three, which is already a bit of a challenge to try and make sure that you're following that journey, that arc for each of those characters, and that they aren't peaking too early, and you're not, finishing one character up and moving them off to the side and then moving on to the other two. They all of their story beats need to hit at the same time. And like one of the biggest things that I noticed was like Mike's character, his resolution, I think, came a little bit too early in the film, in the initial draft that I had read. So I was like, we need to beef this up. We need to extend this and kind of stretch it through to make sure that this story is still alive in the third act. So those are the sorts of things that I brought to the table. We worked on the script for months. I also kind of think, like Kathe was saying, she brought a personal friend perspective to the story. I was also kind of bringing, I think, an outsider perspective to the story, which is how is an outsider going to perceive this film? How is an outsider going to also look at the church? Even though I grew up in the church, I'm friends with priests as well. I wanted to bring that to the table, but also keeping a more worldly mindset, I guess, to make sure that this was a story that would be approachable to anyone. And I think at its core, it already was as a script. It didn't require that much of a lift on my end to make it, make it appeal to a broad audience, which is something that we wanted to do as a team.
So
go ahead.
So when watching it, it's got a certain tone to it. It's not forced. It's very casual. I would say the way it was directed, it was casual. It's easy to watch. It's not preachy. So when you were doing this, I mean, locations have a lot to do with this. So Michael, tell me about how you chose the locations you did. It was filmed in many places in the New York, New Jersey area and in churches. So what was that like, finding locations? And then what was it like to have to be able to film in a church?
Yeah, I mean, it was, this script is ambitious for a smaller budget independent film. It takes place over 10 years of their lives. I think maybe even a little longer.
12, almost 12, yeah.
12 years, yeah. And it's in a bunch of different locations. Again, you have these three heroes. So you're seeing each one of them in their lives, and each one of them is going to have a place to live and a place to worship and a place where they go to school. And, at the beginning, they're all together, but then as they split apart, that just exponentially increases the number of sets that you're going to need. And yeah, it was a challenge. We filmed in New York City and then a lot in New Jersey. Fortunately, we all had New Jersey connections that were able to bring a lot to the table, and we just had an incredible production team that was able to make all of these different locations work within our budget. Luckily, you're filming at churches, you're making a movie about priests. You get kind of an in there, but there's still a lot when it comes to the logistics of it all. Anytime you have to move locations, you only get one day at a location. If you're filming it, we only had 15 days to film all of this. And we had all of these different sets, all of these different locations. There were a few days where we spent, more than one day in one spot.
And for Father Stephen, you jumped into the world of Hollywood right away, being on set and seeing, I mean, it's not, there's a lot of hurry up and wait going on sets, but it's also bing, 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 get this done. So that must have been fun for you.
It was very exciting. And as Wick mentioned, we were like all over the place, which was fascinating, but it really took a lot of energy. And this is where I have to give Wick and both the Tucci brothers and the entire crew that was there. I mean, everyone worked so hard. They really got along well. And as, we pulled in a lot of favors. I asked a priest who had a parish over here, another one who had one over there, a friend who had a restaurant. We're calling in all these favors because we just didn't have the money to do it. But I was amazed that we were able to do that in those 15 days, and we were able to do everything on budget, which was really quite remarkable. And I think too, like for me, it was my first time being on a set. Obviously, Kathe and Wick, this was not their first time at the rodeo, but for me it was, and I just found it fascinating, Suzanne, as you mentioned. It was like so much hurry up, and then wait, and then take one, take two, change the cameras, do the other angle, then take one, take two, change those. And I was amazed at how it's really both of those things. It's art and science. You have to have that creative ability, but also part of it was just very, logical, and the type of lens that they were using on the camera. And I took it as a really educational, wonderful experience. And I think in our own little way, Kathe, Wick, and we had our own little kind of Trinity going on there as well, each from a different perspective that mutually enriched each other. So I was very pleased with that.
That's great. A new experience. Something you probably never thought you'd experience, but you never know what life brings.
Amen.
Messalina, you have a question for Father Stephen?
I do. So Father Stephen, this movie's has a lot of messages, and it resonates with people in different ways. And one of the things that you said was that you want to humanize priests. And what do you mean by that? And from the comments you've gotten back from people, do you think that the message has gotten across?
Oh, I would think we definitely have, because that's the result I often hear from people afterwards, that it gave me another perspective. And I think it's kind of like what Kathe was saying before, and her dealing with me as a priest, as a friend over the last 20 years, and working so closely in the two parishes where we've served together. She's gotten a view of priesthood that the vast majority of people don't get to see. And so I think I think we obtained that objective. And I think the way we did it, as Suzanne said at the beginning, we were trying not to be preachy at all, but really trying to show priests as the real human beings. And this could have been a movie about 3 lawyers or 3 doctors or 3 other things. And that's where I think, that lesson that Monsignor Heck speaks about at the beginning, the famous Vita discourse he gives, that's really the message. It's applicable to everyone, not just priests or seminarians, but to everyone, to live a life of truth, integrity, endurance, and friendship. So that universal message, I feel we got across, because that's also what I get the reaction from so many people.
That's wonderful. So do you feel like you've accomplished what you set out to do with this movie?
I do. I really do. Love to do a sequel. Love to do a prequel if we had all the time and energy and resources for it. Kathe will remember when we were out in Hollywood and we were, trying to pitch the idea to different people and different groups. And, they were all saying, oh, this could be a great like TV series, and kind of like The Office meets, I forget what they said the other thing was. But so I think we did, and I'm very proud of the collaboration. Couldn't have done it without Kathe or Wick or the rest of the team. Thomas Hanna as well. I know he's not on this thing right now, but Thomas Hanna was a really essential element for us. And one thing Thomas always said, and Kathe will remember this, whenever we were looking at the different versions of the script, Thomas would say to me, did that really happen? And I said, yeah, that really happened. It didn't happen to me, but it happened to my other friend. And then when other things that were more fictional, he's like, did that really happen? It's like, no. He goes, well, then let's get rid of it. So really everything in the movie comes from real life, either from one of my friends or myself. So anyway, I'm probably talking too much, but you can tell I love this movie.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And this is a question to all of you. Are you glad that you made this movie? And what was the best part of the experience, or like something unexpected that happened? Kathe, do you want to start?
Yeah, yes, I'm very happy we did this project, because I think it created, ultimately with the feedback that Father Stephen's gotten, and there is a big example of a young lady who was in touch with him, like about 19, 20 years old, and she was saying that the experience because she was born like 2004 or a little bit after, that, was not the best experience with priests, that, her age group, they don't look at them in the same way, and, don't necessarily have the affinity that maybe older people have for the priest. And she said, having seen the film, it has really changed her mind. She has a much better understanding, and it kind of has broken her heart down a little bit to be a little warmer to the situation. And I think for that kind of feedback or aftermath experience is really a happy one for me, because I just feel as though we've done something good or taken a step in the right direction for younger people. So I'm very happy we had this opportunity.
That's wonderful. Michael, what about you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of a unique situation to be in for my first feature, because normally directors, when they do their first feature, it's like a passion project, something that a script that they've been working on for years, much like what Father Stephen was going through for this, and they finally make it happen. It was interesting because I'm being brought on this, and the story is already alive, and I'm just kind of there to help bring it to an audience, and just kind of guide the pieces together to make it into a finished film. So that was an honor that I was able to take this story that was so close to the other two people here on this call, and bring it out, give it life, put it on the screen. And then just, I mean, the incredible crew that we worked with, it was just such an amazing team. They did so much amazing work. Everyone from the art department, making our locations look fantastic, making the sets look amazing. The DP that we worked with, Jeff Holman, it was his first feature as well. It was just wonderful getting to collaborate with him. Everybody down to the PAs on set, the background actors, was all, it was just incredible to work with everyone, to meet all of these wonderful people and get to make something. It's not every day that you get to make something new and put it out there, and it's just been a wonderful experience to have that happen here.
And I will add, you used made use people on an independent film. If anyone's ever worked on an independent film, you pull people from wherever you can. And I know that a lot of the friends and family in the community, as well as the parishioners, were used, including our lovely Messalina, who can be seen in the pews in one of the scenes. Correct?
Yes. Yeah, you can see me in the back.
And she might be up for an Academy Award next year for that, Best Supporting Actor. Yeah, no, but it really was, and it was a fun, as Messalina can attest to, it really was it was a fun experience. At all these different locations, everyone was collaborating with all their heart, and all these parishioners from the different places I've served are all coming together. And it was just a beautiful familial experience. And in one scene, Wick's mom and my mom are standing right next to each other, and just a lot of good things that were happening there. So to answer your question, Messalina, I'm so happy that we did this, and I felt while we were there, I always felt like it was a once in a lifetime experience. I remember I kept saying that to Kathe, like, I want each day to go really slowly. Even that when we had our premiere in Ridgewood on April 27th, where I first met Suzanne and everything, it's just, I wanted that day to go so slowly, just to really soak in every single special moment, and it lived up to that. It was a day I'll never ever forget.
Yep, you got to be on the red carpet. You got interviewed. In fact, I remember something went wrong and you got interviewed twice.
Yes, we did.
Which often happens at the smaller film festivals, but it's a great film festival, the Ridgewood Guild Film Festival. The next thing I just want to know, before Messa we get to know you a little bit more personally. I just wanted to know, what's in your future for the three of you? Start with Michael.
Yeah, I'm actually currently working on a script for a family comedy that actually just started working on that. a director that I had worked with before, reached out to me recently and said he wants to collaborate on another script. So got that going on. A few other things in development. Always out there looking for cool, fun projects to be a part of.
Yep. And Kathy, what about you?
Well, two things. A milestone, I'll be retiring from my work at St. Elizabeth's in June. And then after that, it's going to be nice to just focus on my writing. So I'm definitely doing more writing projects for sure.
Great. Look forward to that. Father Stephen's baptisms, communions, funerals,
You got it.
homilies.
And all the work I'm doing for the Archdiocese as well with all of our educational efforts. And yeah, but to answer your question, beyond all that normal priestly ministry, I would love to make a sequel, to really follow up with something. It's just right now, it's a real big crunch time in my life between the parish and the responsibilities at the Archdiocese, but would love to do something because clearly this movie resonated with people. And I really think this storyline could easily continue into the future. So I hope we'll get the time and energy and resources to do that.
I hope so too. It's a wonderful movie for anyone to see. As I said, no matter what religion you are, it opens up your eyes. And I feel that way with any movie that I watch, especially when it's when it's based in reality or someone's perspective that has lived through it. It's the only way to become, I think, a better person is to educate yourself and hear other people's viewpoints. So I really thank you for making this movie for everyone to see. And speaking of that, tell us where we can see the movie.
Sure. So, I mean, you can see if you go to our website, which is trinitystriumph.com, once you get onto the homepage, you'll see there's about 8 or 9 different platforms. The one that most people seem to go to is Amazon, Apple, YouTube, Vudu, Spectrum. There's a whole bunch of them. And that's really, I think, the best way to see it on those platforms.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And now we do a little thing called a Libby lightning round where we get to know a little bit about you personally. Just answering a couple words or a sentence. And Messalina is a pro at this, so take it away, Messalina.
Okay. So Kathy, top 2 favorite movies.
I like the movie Hidden Figures very much. That's a wonderful film. And the other one that I like very much also is, because I get to sing along, is Sound of Music. I just can't not see that when that's on TV.
Love it. Father Stephen?
I guess I go to 2 different extremes like Kathy just did. I've always loved Franco Zeffirelli's Jesus of Nazareth. It's 8-hour long, but that movie really formed so much of my spiritual life as a young man, as a seminarian, and I just always go back to it. Olivia Hussey playing Mary is just one of my favorite characters. And then the other one would be definitely Groundhog Day. I love Bill Murray, and I love that.
One of mine.
It's one of yours too.
You can't take one of mine.
I'm sorry.
I thought it was going to be an outlier with Groundhog Day.
So, Michael, what would your other one be?
I mean, I guess I'll just go with Star Wars. I mean, it was the movie that I saw it as a kid. It was the movie that made me want to make movies. So, and I guess since Groundhog Day is already taken, I'll say Chris Nolan's first major film, Memento, which was a movie that if Star Wars made me want to make movies, Memento taught me I had no idea how, and I needed to learn a lot more because that movie just left me on the floor when I saw it the first time as a teenager. So
awesome,
beautiful.
So next question.
Rick, sorry for taking Groundhog Day from
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's a fantastic movie. It deserves all the credit that it gets.
Okay, so what are the top 1 or 2 series that you've just watched or loved? Michael, do you want to start?
Sure. Let's see. Favorite TV shows. I'll go with Lost. Love that show. Watched it. I've watched it so many times from start to finish. It's fantastic. And For All Mankind, which was a show on Apple.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a cool like alternate history TV show about the space race. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Father Stephen?
So I love The Chosen. I've really enjoyed that. As you can tell, I'm into Jesus movies. But The Chosen was a series that's really captivated my mind and my heart. Outside of that, I really don't have time to follow TV shows. So that one is the one I really made time for. But yeah, that'd be my answer, The Chosen.
Awesome. Kathe?
My two are Only Murders in the Building. I got very addicted to that and love the work that they did with that. And the other one, which is on Acorn TV, it's really quirky. It's Queens of Mystery, but it's about these three sisters, and being one of three myself, it was kind of fun. But one of the sisters is a former rock and roller, and the other sister is a librarian, and the third one is the normal one, and they have a niece who's a detective, and it's just fun.
That's great. All right, in one word, how do you de-stress? Father Stephen?
I'd have to say pray. That's how I de-stress. I do a lot of praying.
Michael?
Nature, I guess, for one word, getting out in nature. Yeah.
Kathe?
Yoga.
And what's a thing that brings you the most joy in life? Kathe?
Spending time in Maine, actually. That's where my family is from, and I'm here now, and I really enjoy it when I can just be down the street and walk around Portland Headlight, and it's my home base.
That's great. Michael?
Spending time with my family. My wife and I just welcomed our second child, our daughter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A few weeks ago. She's actually a leap day baby.
Oh.
Yeah, we have 2 under 2, and just being a dad is the coolest thing I've ever done. So it's exhausting, but it's amazing.
Father Stephen?
And I guess I would say our parishioners. I really love being involved in the life. Wick mentioned, I'm so involved with so many couples getting married, having their children. Then on the other end, people, dying and going home to God and being for those families there. So I really do love being a priest, and I love being able to be there at really major moments in people's lives to either share their joys or also sharing their sorrows. And just, I love doing that. Just kind of like Father Joe in our movie. Like he said, I can't be anything else. This is what I love. And I really do love my mission as a priest.
That's beautiful. Final question. What's the best thing about being the age that you are now?
We ask the tough questions on this show.
Tough question.
Michael, can I start?
Kathy's 39, right, Kathe? She's retiring early.
No, you don't need to say your age, just what's great about it.
No, I'm good with it. I actually, next month I'll be 71, and I think the two things that I think come to mind would be at my age at 71 would be wisdom and perspective. Those are my two things.
That's great. Michael?
I guess just knowing myself better, like knowing who I am. I just turned 40 last year, so having
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not figuring it out anymore. I know who I am. I know what I want. I guess it's nice to have that kind of perspective on things.
Father Stephen?
Yeah, that's a great question. Really thought-provoking. And I'm right in the middle between Wick and Kathe in the age bracket. So I'm right smack in the middle between them. And I would say, it's kind of like in the film, Father Joe and Monsignor Heck. I think now I always said Father Joe is playing me, but now as my life is going on, I'm seeing a more Monsignor Heck and acting as a mentor now to a lot of young priests. And that's been kind of the role they've been assigning to me. And at first I thought, like, why are you assigning these young priests to me? And then I realized it's now my turn to act as the mentor to them and share with them, the mistakes I've made and the successes I've had, to try to help them to avoid the same mistakes and to have even more success in their lives.
And if you run out of things to tell them, you can just go use some of the dialogue from your movie.
Well, Kathy and I have a little game about that. Every once in a while, if we're talking about something at the parish, we'll throw in a little line, and it just goes back and forth, a little bit of the banter. So that's cute.
That's great. Well,
We often quote the scene in the bar
Yeah.
where Josh says when Mike says that he's only doing well in school because of his new fiance, and he says, "Yeah, it makes sense." So we often, yeah,
Fix that.
Makes sense. Good. Yeah. So, Messalina, thank you for doing the Libby Lightning Round. Thank you for all of your answers, and thank you for being on this show. Please go out and watch Trinity's Triumph. As she said, it's on Amazon streaming for free and so many other platforms. Please go see it. Please also, you can find our show, The Libby Show, all over the place. We're on YouTube. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as Susie Behind the Scenes, or visit us on the web at lunchwiththeladies.net. And as I say at the end of every show, every day, find some joy and give some joy. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Wake up with a smile.